Hey people, what is going on? NG is back again for another video. Gonna keep it a bit quiet right now because I'm recording this video in the luxury of the basement. It is nice and cold, but also echoes like a bitch, so shh for now. Now, like I said in the video I did previously on adaptations, the art of adapting, and why directors and screenwriters don't always get a free pass to do whatever the heck they want, I said I would be speaking on a particular film franchise that I thought I'd said my piece on numerous occasions. Every single time I did a video related to it, I would, more or less regurgitate my stances. But still, people miss the point. I really don't know how to make it any clearer. I've been accused of being a Raimi hater, which obviously gives away what we're talking about. Being a Raimi hater, being a bandwagon rider for the reboot, etc., etc. Every excuse under the sun. Some going as far to say that I am not a fan of Spider-Man at all. Yeah, I've gotten that a couple times, just what I find funny. Now, people who make claims like that, I want to inform you of something. Critiquing a series does not equal blind bashing. I think you guys have gotten what a blind basher does and somebody just critiquing a film series skewed. If somebody were a blind basher, most of the time, they don't really know what they're talking about. They don't know how to hold their own in a discussion. And last time I checked, I never flat out said that the Raimi films are complete garbage. I have stated on numerous occasions that, as films themselves, they are decent. As adaptations, though, they really miss the mark on numerous things. If anything, they're barely passable. Alright? Yet people seem to miss that. I've never once insulted the people behind the work, calling them complete idiots and all of that BS. Anything a blind basher would do. Oh, saying, fuck Raimi, fuck all these people. Unless it's for comical relief, like as you guys know my relationship with Kirsten Dunst. Ugh. But anyway, you get what I'm saying. You get the point. Everything I say when I'm critiquing something, I back it up with facts, with reasons, with, logical things. It does not equate to blind bashing. Now, are there people who jump on the bandwagon for the reboot? Yes. But you want to know something funny? There are always those kind of people everywhere you go. Everywhere. This makes no exception whatsoever. And for those who say that nobody had a problem with the Raimi movies until now, yeah, you might want to check your facts, go back on some message boards from a long time ago and see what people have been saying about the Raimi films since day one. Don't automatically assume just because you and a group of your friends like it that everybody is going to like it. Because the films were pretty controversial when it came to comic book fans. Now, getting that out of the way, let's begin, shall we, with Spider-Man 1. Spider-Man. Joining me, I've got my vintage seltzer water. If there was any drink that I have probably consumed more in my life, probably vintage seltzer water. I've been through like a million of these. And I don't have my mug, sadly, for this video, so I'm going to have to do without. As you can tell, this is pretty laid back. So, Spider-Man 1. Put that right down there. Excuse me. Spider-Man 1. Now, let's start out first with the origin story, Peter Parker being introduced and his powers. When it comes to my many complaints with the series, this is probably one that I have the least issues with, if you want to say. Now, the main thing that I want you to take away from this video when it comes to the first Raimi film, rushed like all hell. Scenes weren't given time to breathe, characters weren't given enough time to develop, etc., etc., and that was especially, more true right here with the origin story. Now, if you look at it on the surface, the origin story, there was the burp, the origin story doesn't really look too bad. I mean, what do you have? You have Peter Parker, established as this sort of character, gets the powers, dons the suit, Uncle Ben dies, etc., etc. It seems okay. The problem is, there isn't much to breathe. Like, characters, things that made you really love the characters are just glossed over, and majority of the time it's done through montages, which is really pathetic. First point, that would have to be organic versus artificial web shooters. Now, I'm not going to deny and say that the organic web shooters weren't cool, because it was kind of cool. It was something different, something interesting. However, that introduces many problems. The one that I really have a problem with will happen in the second movie, but for this one, it completely took away from Peter Parker's intellect. As you guys know, in the comics, Peter Parker built his web shooters. And as he built them, you could see how much of a genius he is. Well, he is. In the film, all they really did was say that he's a genius, oh, he's the top of his class, Norman Osborn praised him, but we don't see it. We don't see it at all. That takes away a big chunk of the character. It's a whole nother dimension of him, and it's not there in the film. Yeah, that's kind of a big problem. And it also ties into how characters weren't allowed to breathe, mainly Peter Parker. When Peter Parker got his powers, not only did he have the Spider-Man persona, but he was also changing. He was becoming more outgoing, more open, etc., etc. His personality was starting to grow. And with the powers, his persona, his Peter Parker persona, started to get a bit more arrogant. Because honestly, everybody in that sort of situation, when you get those powers and you finally can't be bullied around, etc., etc., yeah, you're going to kind of act cocky. And they definitely show that in the comics. He was also rebelling against Aunt May and Uncle Ben, and they sort of show it in here in the movie when he snaps at Uncle Ben, but that was only one instance. And the fact is, if they were only going to do one instance, they should put more behind it. They shouldn't just rush it in there. And those are really my two biggest complaints with the origin story, because not only are you losing a chunk of development from the intellect to his actual personality and going through it, in my opinion, some of the best parts of Spider-Man are his origin story. They just glossed over that, which is pretty pathetic because you could have done a lot more. So much more. But, like I've said before, it's workable, it's decent, it's nothing special, nothing to write home about, nothing good, but it's workable, his entire origin story. So, that being aside, now let's move on to the characters. Out of all of them, I would have to say Harry Osborn I really don't have an issue with, mainly because he doesn't do much. He's very one-dimensional, and that also brings up another point of Sam Raimi's films, not his Spider-Man films, but in general. A lot of his characters do give off the vibe of being cliche, cardboard cutouts, you know, repetitive things that we have seen time and time again. One-dimensional. And I say that because I am a Sam Raimi fan. He does seem to do that a lot, and in most cases, some of his films borderline on campy, not campy in the sense of Batman and Robin or the 60s series, but yeah, it's still pretty damn campy, and it's especially prevalent here in the Spider-Man film series, but we'll touch on that later. But most of the characters, outside of Peter Parker, were completely one-dimensional. They were flat, there was nothing special about them. They really weren't the characters from the comics. They didn't have the richness, they didn't have the development that you really did enjoy reading. None of that. You go from Harry to Mary Jane Watson, who is not Mary Jane Watson at all. Why the hell do they call her that? Because more or less, she is a Mary Sue character. She's the generic girl who lives next door, who is the object of our hero's attention. Seriously, their relationship goes nowhere in the sense that it's anything worth talking about. It's completely by the book. It's completely cheesy as all hell. And that was really sad because when you read Peter's relationship with Gwen or Peter's relationship with Mary Jane, it's really something special. And here it's just, like, we've seen this time and time again done before. You know, it's really play by the book. You know, and her character wasn't anything like the one in the comics. She was the Lois Lane of Spider-Man in this movie series. Arguably, she was worse. At least Lois Lane was a bit more competent. In this series, she's always getting kidnapped. Always. That is not Mary Jane. Mary Jane is supposed to be a party girl, a lovable girl, a girl who's equally as desirable as Gwen, but in different ways. Here, she's just so generic. And if you watch the movies, you know what I'm talking about. And wait till we get to number 2. Oh boy, epic foreshadowing. Now, outside of those two, we have, of course, J. Jonah Jameson, who is a boss. I have nothing negative to say about him. Arguably, in my opinion, he saved the film series. He was probably the most... I'd say he's the one who they spent the most time... Well, actually, the one who they got right all the way down to the core iconic nature of the character. That was him. J.K. Simmons is a boss in general. Cave Johnson in Portal 2. Oh man, he was freaking... He's Tenzin in Legend of Korra. And J.K. Simmons, man, I love you. I can't wait for you in... what was that thing he was going to do next? I forgot, but dude, please come back for the sequel to Amazing Spider-Man. Please, please, please. Yeah, he's going to show up in that film series, people. Don't doubt them. Don't doubt them. They're already teasing at it. Now we move on to probably my biggest complaint. We have Norman Osborn. Now, no complaints towards Willem Dafoe. He's a good actor. But his portrayal of the Green Goblin / Norman Osborn is kind of interesting. First and foremost, the character itself, Norman Osborn, he is completely over the top. By over the top, I mean we're talking about something out of Power Rangers. Cheesy Power Rangers, Saturday morning cartoon-esque villain twirling the mustache type thing. It's more of a joke. And the Green Goblin persona is nothing better. The Green Goblin persona is essentially Norman Osborn turned schizo. Yeah, seriously, when I mean schizo, I mean literally complete split personality. Woo! Namaste. No, wait, this is Namaste. Okay, anyway, like, literally, it's like he inhaled the fumes and then that just, like, split his thing in half. It's like, I mean, seriously now. He's talking to himself in the mirror. That is the most cliche of cliche things. I mean, god damn it. And you see him, he's going crazy, he's rebelling against people, oh my god, I mean, it didn't seem like he was going insane, it just seemed like his alternate personality had taken over him. There's still the good Norman Osborn inside, still there, still there. Man, that is just ridiculous. And why, am I the only one who noticed this? Why is Norman Osborn as Norman Osborn scarier than Norman Osborn as the Green Goblin? I don't know if it's just me, but I caught that. I mean, there was so much you could have done with his character, and it's really not a hard character to portray. I mean, come on now, psychological. But anyway, that's pretty much what I thought about the main cast of characters. Outside of Tobey Maguire being a workable Spider-Man, nothing good, and J. Jonah Jameson, the rest of the cast was flat, generic, by the book, repetitive, something that really resonated from a Saturday morning cartoon than anything else. There was nothing deep about them at all, nothing that you could write home about that you would love. They were just there to be there, which is what I find really pathetic, because you could have done a lot with these characters. They really didn't do much to show the actual Spider-Man persona. It was essentially just Peter Parker in the suit. Spider-Man's personality, his huge ego, cracking jokes, none of that was there. They rushed and they montaged everything with him capturing criminals. They didn't show any of that. They didn't show him kicking ass. All they showed essentially was him in the build-up between the Green Goblin, which I find pathetic. But overall, as a film, it's decent. The film itself is enjoyable enough to watch. The beginning of it is not that bad as far as the origin story. It was workable, but later on is where the film really starts to fall apart. While it may sound that I had many issues with it, it's still workable, and it's something that definitely should be corrected in the sequel, which is Spider-Man 2. So, until the next part of this rant / review / discussion, I'm NGS signing out, and like always, I will catch you guys later. Peace.